Hey guys, Daniel Chipman here. You're listening to the Finding Lost podcast. Wanted to give a brief introduction because this podcast was recorded a long time ago. One of the very originals, right when I got my second microphone and invited my buddy Bret Boisclair to come over as we drank some whiskey and decided to talk about life and things and just see where they'd go. Thought to be recorded as just a practice run. This was never thought to be released, but there is some great stories in here, and because there was no guest this past week, I figured why not dig into the archives and send this on out. So without further ado, this is the Lost Finding Lost podcast with myself and Bret Boisclair.
What makes you happy?
You just gotta think it, do it, and get it done. You gotta stop procrastinating.
It's time to be creative.
I realized a long time ago that life is a lot more about the journey.
Experience amazing.
Sometimes you just need to pick up and go.
Get out there and see everything you're missing. Welcome to
It's Finding
Lost.
The ability to just go.
See what's out there, see what's happening.
Just get off your ass and experience life. Welcome
Welcome.
to Finding Lost with Daniel Chipman.
Wow, it's so amazing listening to things that you've created in the past and then needing to hear yourself say that shit in the future.
It's telling. It's absolutely telling. That was a lot of motivation all in like a 30-second spot? Not
Right.
that, like 25 seconds?
Yeah.
I thought you said get up your ass and get out there and find an adventure. That's what I thought you said. Now I'm thinking adventure. Fuck, if I get up my ass, I might not ever leave.
I might find some gold up there.
That's right.
A little nugget of truth.
That's right. A nugget of something.
All right, Bret, cheers, man.
Dan, cheers.
So we got a couple of mics set up. We
Yeah,
got-
new setup. There's a microphone amplifier. Huh?
Is
No?
that yeah, we got the preamp.
All right,
You know,
the preamp,
running,
yep.
running the mics. We
Everything
got the
sounds
Shures, and then we can. We still got it. We still kind of got it jerry rigged, but
But it's coming together. Now we're both talking, and we don't have to take turns talking to the same mic. So that is moving ahead. That is progress.
that's definitely progress.
That's progress.
It's a foot in the right direction.
That's right. That's right. If we can just keep a couple feet in the right direction at any one time, we have 4 feet among us. 3 out of 4, we should do okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
I
trick.
gotta sip this whiskey though. My mouth is
Whiskey.
dry.
Let's go with bourbon. Wait, what's the difference? Dan knows.
Bourbon whiskey, man. Bourbon whiskey
stuff.
can also be bourbon scotch.
It sure can.
Because-
Hey, where was it made?
Well, you don't
That's
want to
the
go
trick.
into the wrong bar and order Bushmills. It'll kick your ass.
They'll kick your ass. Is that how that works?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
man.
did not know that.
I mean, that's why they call it Scotch, because they're the Scottish and that's their whiskey. But don't call it whiskey.
Don't
I mean,
say I want some whiskey.
you can call it
have
whiskey, I
Bushmills?
guess, but it's just
You just got to say, do you have Scotch?
you gotta know what
then
you're ordering at what
right.
bar.
I went to the bar tonight and I got a Makers on the rocks. No, I didn't go with Makers. I went Makers, Knob Creek. What did I go? Oh, Buffalo Trace, because I don't usually get Buffalo Trace. Had it before. I like it. So I gave me that in the rocks, and there's a drunk couple behind me who I totally recognize because I'm a server, and they definitely have come into Redwood Lodge more times than I can count. But I don't know them. They don't know that I know them, and they're definitely drunk. And they talked about the sweet ass bourbon tour they went to in Kentucky, where they hit a spot. They had like Woodford was the best. They said it was the coolest place. It was the prettiest place. Then they did Knob Creek. They had Bullet. They went to Kentucky and they saw. I mean, just like a wine tour.
Well, that's the majority of that state's exports,
Sure.
besides I think meth.
Right. Right.
Unfortunately,
Right. And unfortunately,
it's a lot
you
of
can't
bourbon.
tariff meth.
But you know, yeah,
It doesn't work out that way.
yeah, you don't want to tour that facility.
Right. It's just depressing. It's just sad. What are you guys doing with the kids? Don't worry about it. Try this.
Try this.
Fuck kids. That's horrible. That's exactly how that goes.
Man, but you know, it was funny because actually I stopped through Kentucky on my way up from Florida and crashed out there. And we actually parked the van and crashed at the Welcome Center. And it was just late as shit and needed the next rest stop. And I was like, oh, there's the next rest stop. Because it was like right when I thought that, like there was one. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, I'm good till the next one.
Sure.
Next one was like 100 miles
I
away.
can go. I can go 20 miles. This is Michigan, right?
No, this is
no.
no. You're
not
at the.
Michigan.
That was like the last one for that state. The next one will be the Welcome Center in Kentucky, but I didn't realize that. So I was super tired. But when I woke up, got in there, went into the Welcome Center, and definitely kind of looked around. And yeah, they had all these pamphlets and books of all the distillery and all these different tours. And I was just like, Now this would be fun. This would be fun to go and adventure and
Just hit the Kentucky. Just go down there and just be like, this is what we're doing today. That's essentially what
go down there for a week. It's got to be like a drunk week.
Yeah.
You should probably line that up with the Derby too.
With the Derby. Yeah. Yeah, right. While you're there, you might as well have some gin
shit-faced
too.
week.
Yep. Just get wasted.
That's a
Enjoy
cheat
some
week
ice.
for sure.
Get a big hat. You'll be fine. Bet in the race. But that's totally, they were like, we had a DD. And I was like, yep, that's where Uber comes in. That's what that's all about. You can go down to these, because I'm thinking about the wine tours, right? That I have done. I did it with Shannon to do a wine tour, but we went to South Haven. We did some wine stuff. And it was cool. We went to a couple different wineries, right? It was fun. But man, you get buzzed up real quick. And of the like 4 that we went to at one time, if you're personable and you're cool and you're fun and funny, they just pour you drink after drink. And if you're not, or they're not, then it's just like, here's your 5 wines. Do you like grapes?
Yeah.
Great. Buy some wine.
Great.
But if not, you're like, hey, I haven't done anything with anybody for a long time. You know? So just come in here, hang out with me.
Eat some cheese.
Please, for Christ's sake. I am desperately bored.
So was it a tasting or was it like just like hey, we're gonna go sample?
Well, it was both of those things. What you do is you go to the winery, and then you get in there, and you can definitely have a taste. But if you want a tasting, if you want 5 or 6 different tastes, then you pay for it, 20, 40, 30, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be in a particular order. It doesn't have to go from low to high, like I just said, but just whatever. And then the bartender pours you those drinks. And they're all, well, the 3 of them that we went to were all on top of a hill. You know, they have their fields full of grapes, and they produce it, and it's always a pretty house on top of the field. And that's what you go. You go to sit in the deck or whatever, and you just drink their wines. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it. And that was in Southwest Michigan. She went to Traverse City.
Oh yeah,
in the Leelanau Peninsula,
beautiful.
which is where you go. I mean, that's the place that you go hit Michigan for wines. And I never did that. She did that with her friends.
Yeah, it's trying to remember Michigan's little tagline there, because I thought it was pure Michigan. Yeah, that's the one that it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
pure. No, it is. It seriously is. Like, and it was funny though. It was actually when I was just in Pennsylvania. I seen my first commercial in another state from Michigan.
Oh, what was that like?
It was kind of interesting. I was like, oh, this is a pure Michigan ad, and I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that's probably why they did the campaign. It's just funny that they show it to Michiganders too,
Right.
because you're like, yeah, my state, but then when you're out of state, you're like, well, they make Michigan look pretty amazing.
You got it. Like,
Of course you're in Intercourse, Pennsylvania, when you're looking at Intercourse.
How
yeah.
do you get better than this? I'm in Intercourse right now. Did you? What other states have you seen in Michigan that you've taken note of? Anything else? Like other? I mean, I've
Other
definitely
states
seen,
in
yeah,
Michigan?
other states advertisements.
Oh.
Right? Yeah, other states in Michigan that you've seen. Well, I've only been to Michigan.
Definitely California.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's their tagline?
I don't remember. I just remember seeing the ads.
Yep.
But I don't remember the tagline. I'd like, see, this is where you need that other person.
It's okay. That's definitely where you need the
Or the
internet.
laptop.
What I remember, or what I know now, I think it's popping out still now, or otherwise I wouldn't know it, is Maine. And find your main thing. Find your main thing.
Oh, that's cool.
That's sweet. That's a great tagline.
I've been wanting to go to Maine.
Yeah. And now I really want to go because I want to know what my main thing is.
Probably lobster. That'd
I would
probably be
imagine
my main thing.
That would be my main thing too.
I want like 26 of
I
those.
want big old houses on cliffs.
I want that
and
$30
lobsters.
lobster
That's right. And
fresh.
if I saw some dude with a scream mask stabbing chicks, I'd be down. I'd be like, oh, this is
Dude,
perfect.
I was hearing about this guy. So he's telling you, like, you go to the restaurant, you can pay $30 or whatever for that lobster.
Yeah.
You can go down and like you can even pay like a lot of money at the stores, but you can go down like right to the docks and pick them up
Shut
for like
up.
$3 a piece.
And can pick out your lobster.
$3 a piece.
God. I absolutely would do that. Have you ever gone?
Oh, yeah. So what are you eating tonight? Oh, like 6 red rock lobster tails.
Right. How much did that cost you? Well, $18. It was $18 plus a tip. So it was pretty good.
I had to cook it though.
In Michigan, it costs you $473.
Right, no shit.
In Maine, I did when I was a kid. We went to New Jersey a couple times. We went to the boardwalk. This was before that was a thing, New Jersey Shores, right? But it was totally that way. That's what I think is so fascinating about it, because we'd go there. Me and my brother would buy these sweet ass. They were like sweatpant material, right? And they were shorts and they were shirts and they were cut off at the belly and they had their arms cut off. It's fucking muscle man shirts, sweet shit. Puffy Print, fucking whatever they put screen. What is it called when you make that? You put it on a shirt. You
Yeah, screen print.
Yeah, screen print.
Or heat press.
Puffy,
There's two
yeah,
of them.
they're right. Or what?
Heat press. So
Yeah.
the heat press is where you do the vinyl.
Whatever's
screen prints
oldest.
with paint.
Yeah. It was screen press, but it was all puffy and shit. But the boardwalks are awesome because you go to each boardwalk, and then that was where the Ferris wheel was, and all the rides were, right? But we were down there renting a house and going to the beach every day, and every now and again to the boardwalk. And one of those days, we went crab fishing, dude. It was the coolest shit in the world. We had a cage. We put chicken legs in the cage, just meat, chicken legs, and dropped it down. And then we left, and we came back, and we pulled up the cage, and it was full of these little crabs, full of them, like spilling out the side of the cage. And I remember that was cool enough. That could have been the end of it. But then we go home, and you know what they made? They made spaghetti with lobster meat.
Oh.
And the coolest thing I saw, that was delicious. But the coolest thing I saw was them dropping crabs into boiling water. And this is before the time that, you know, because we all know now that when you drop a lobster or a crab into boiling water, it hurts. It's terrible. And then they boil, and then they're dead. And they're red. And you're like, I can eat you now. You're dead. Right. So it's terrible. But so I didn't see any of that. But
So
what I did see,
to all the vegans out there.
right.
They still eat seafood? I don't know.
Not like that, they don't. Not like that, they don't.
like that, they
Not a vegan. A vegetarian may. Because it's fish, they don't feel shit. But I tell you what, a crab feels shit. Because when you drop 20 of them into a vat of boiling water, they try to escape. And one of them did.
This sucks.
One of them did, and we let it out. One of them did. It bounced out of the pan, bink, dropped onto the floor, and just scurried like a spider, like you'd see a spider. And it was fast.
Fuck this
Like,
shit, I'm
oh
out
my
of here.
God, that shit was so hot. It wasn't salty. It wasn't cold. This is terrible. That was my mom. And it just took off.
My whole family.
Right. My whole family's dead. Things were losing their limbs. You know what I mean? Like there's like claw on the side of the pot, and you just dip it in there, like drown, you know? Terrible stuff. And the
We're
spaghetti was
laughing, but
fantastic.
animal cruelty is not
okay.
not
But,
okay.
but just put yourself in my 10-year-old shoes in New Jersey when this is all going down. And all I'm doing, I'm just an innocent bystander. I'm playing Mike Tyson's Punch Out for the most part. That's what I'm doing. I can walk into the kitchen to see this happen. And that little crab definitely made it out. I don't know if it's alive. Basically, what they did is
is it crab or lobster?
it was crab. They threw it out the back door. They're like, all right, you get it, guy. But we were like a mile away from the beach. So I'm guessing he had to go on to have little crab babies. But
He had his. Well, maybe he made it. Maybe he made it all the way. He's got a story to tell. Maybe he's getting like mad lobster tail himself because he's got a story to tell. Look at my scar.
Look at my scar. Hey, that's Louie One Claw. Louie One Claw. You know what he did?
Louie One Claw. He's seen the outside.
He's seen the outside.
He literally almost died. Like in the worst way imaginable.
He was on dry land for
Nothing
3
you know.
days. 3 days.
Nothing you know. Nothing you can perceive.
Nothing
He's
you
seen
can
the
think
world.
about. That's right.
He's seen people.
That's right. You want something? You go to Louie One Claw. That's what you do.
He was almost spaghetti.
Do you know what spaghetti is? Neither do I. Louie does. Louie knows what that is. They were putting it in their mouths. They were eating us. These people eat
You know
us.
how you're soft and squishy on the inside? You're not. When you're done, you're done. You're a lot firmer.
They'll peel the meat out of your claws.
I've seen it happen.
I've seen it happen.
You don't want to know what I've seen, boy. The stories I'll tell. I'm grandfather lobster here.
Right. Listen, I've been on this earth for 4 years. You have no idea the things that I've done.
And I'm back. The future's today. Here I am in the water. What do I know?
I'm Louie One Claw. It's been 40 years. He's alive. I'm alive. I appreciate spaghetti. So does he.
Well,
Good stuff.
No, I have not tried it myself, but I have been really like interested in whenever I get on the road here, like going down to like Louisiana and having like some real like crawfish or like like I've seen them do that with like even some of these things that are just catching out of the creek, but I hear that they kind of taste like lobster. Like what?
You've never had them before? You
Never had
a
them before,
crawfish or
no.
Well, so what do you call them here?
I don't we call them crawfish or
crayfish?
Crayfish,
Right.
Yeah, sure.
So crawfish, crayfish,
Is there a difference?
No, there's only species difference. And what's happening, this is crazy, and only because you want to try that, and so do I. So the ones from Louisiana are super invasive to the ones up here. So they are up here now, and they're taking over lakes and lakes and lakes in Michigan right now. And they burrow deeper. They're hard to get rid of. They're just taking over the ecosystem as far as crawdads are concerned, or crayfish, like we know. They're the same things, the same animals, just
Right,
bigger, shorter,
soda or
whatever.
pop.
Yep. Exactly.
No, there is actual physical.
Yes, yeah. They're bigger, smaller, whatever. But they're all the same, general species or whatever. I mean, I'm not a biologist, but
They all taste like chicken.
they all taste like chicken. They all taste like fucking lobster, but they
Right,
taste
okay.
like wild game meat versus wild game lobster.
Really? Okay, so there's
yeah,
just like
there's a
so it's
slight
like frog
difference.
legs a little bit, man.
Yes, much closer to, much closer to frog legs than lobster. But then you get different species of crayfish or crawdaddies or whatever, and they're much closer to lobster.
Well, I
than
just
they
mean
are-
like the
the gaminess, right?
the gaminess, yeah, compared to chicken.
You're
You know,
absolutely
like-
right. Yeah. It's
a white
exactly the
meat.
same comparison. That's a fair comparison. That was one of the things that they were talking about when I listened to whatever I listened to, was how invasive they are and how they're here, and they're really hard to get rid of, and they're thinking that they might not get rid of them. But the benefit is that everybody loves the way they taste, so it presents a
Food
market.
source,
You got
yeah.
it. That's what they try to do with.
As long as we can refrain from contaminating the water, we are
we got some great
5
food.
miles from Flint,
Right.
and everyone's always like, hey, is your
Right.
water okay? And I'm like, I hate that I bought into it, but I don't even realize when I made the shift, but when did I just when did I stop drinking from the tap, rather? Like that's an actual thing. Like I've been buying bottled water, and
Yeah.
that's how I measure how much water intake I have during a day. Like there's
Yeah.
a lot of things, and I'm,
There's a lot of angles there, dude. Like measuring the income, the intake that you have for your water. You can certainly do that.
you
if get a
travel with
pot
it,
or a bottle.
but you can
Yeah.
very easily get a thermos, right? And I
get
used to
water
drink from the
from wherever the
hose
fuck you want.
as a kid, but once you see like the infrastructural fail and it's so close, and you realize where everyone's getting the water, and then you realize what's going on with a lot of the water everywhere, and these symptoms are problems are literally popping up everywhere. Everywhere, dude. Like even Owosso was having issues. I mean, everyone's having issues, and it's because the infrastructure just sucks.
It's old. It's ancient.
I was talking to someone who's a former commissioner of Bay City, and they put in these millages and stuff like that, and to support the infrastructure and stuff like that, and they will literally connect new pipes, but after it ends that millage or that jurisdiction, and the pipes that they're connecting it to will literally be made out of wood, and some of them not even wood. They're literally just a hole in the ground.
Right.
They're literally connecting it to like a water channel in the ground. There's no piping whatsoever.
Right. Well, and that's where the filtration comes in. The failure in Flint wasn't the fact that they got it from the Flint River. It was that they didn't put the things in they needed to put into it to make sure that it didn't fail. So when you do it, when any water system.
Well, okay. So to amplify that just a little bit, so
Right.
like what that is actually the chemicals that they did put in were so corrosive that they actually were leaching the lead out of the pipes.
It was the opposite of that. They put in the wrong chemicals to not stop or they couldn't prevent the leaching of it. What they did though,
I think that was post the initial problem, though. Once they made the initial transfer to the Flint River,
Yeah.
they were using hardcore to the point where GM said we can't use this water, and they ended up getting their own separate filtration.
yes, absolutely. I didn't realize.
That
I didn't
what you're
realize
talking
like
about is actually what after the leach. So they put these corrosive chemicals in the water. The lead starts leaching out of the pipes,
Right.
and then they're trying to play catch up because they realize that there is a problem that they don't want to admit. That
And
there's
I
a
understood
problem
it.
too.
The absolute different way was absolutely the same situation, but the wrong way was that they took it from the Flint River. It has this level of these chemicals in it, and they did not put the anti-corrosive in there enough. They put enough in per federal guidelines. They did not put enough in to offset the fact that Flint River water has.
Well, it's
the
important to
corrosive
note that the
elements
lead
in
is
it.
not coming from the water. The lead is coming from the pipes.
Yeah, it's super important to know. But that's what I'm saying is that they didn't put the anti-corrosive in there to prevent that from happening. That's how I understand it to be.
Yeah.
They decided not to put the right amount in. So say federal guidelines are 5%, fine, we hit it. Well, you didn't take into consideration.
and whatever Dave counted is over. It's ridiculous. It's over 1,200, I think now.
Yeah,
But the point being is now we still don't have fresh water, and in fact they're out of compliance again. Like as of this week, I think,
really? What did
or
they
maybe
do?
it was last week. No, they're out of compliance. The water, like they just had several EPA warnings, boil notices.
They had boil notices, yeah. There was a water main
and right
burst.
after that, all of a sudden, that there's another thing where they're out of compliance.
They have to be. That's the thing about it. They're not
maintaining it at all.
they're not maintaining it, although they're definitely not maintaining it. Don't get me wrong there. But when you're trying to maintain an infrastructure that's that ancient and that old and that big, and then you have a water main burst, then everything's out of whack. You can't. It's not like Swords Creek where on Winston Drive, the water main burst, everybody boils water for 2 hours, and you're like, okay, we got it. It's Flint. When the fucking water main bursts and they have to boil the water, then you're like, now that you've boiled your water, don't drink it again for 2 months. And you won't know that unless you fucking listen to the news. That's the problem with Flint, is that everything is made of lead. Everything is. And it's been established that the water going through that lead is leaching the lead out of those pipes. That's what happens.
Right. Okay. Well, and that's where it just taps me into this other thing where the major problem here was industry. Like at the time it was booming, everything was great, but we didn't know what we knew now. And the companies got wiser, and that's half the reason why they bolted, but also the reason why they still own the property, because it's cheaper for them to own the property and pay for the property and not be there than it is for them to actually clean up the land to EPA standards to sell it.
That's why there's
it's
shit in
toxic,
the hole, bro. That's why that exists.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep, because they still own it, and you cannot clean that shit up. They can't even turn it into a park. They can turn it into a park and be green as shit, and they'd be like, if you touch the grass, you may get cancer. It's gonna be beautiful, but you can't go near it.
Yeah, welcome to Pandora.
Right, exactly. It's right. It's not like there was a great meme that I saw probably years ago at this point, and probably everybody's seen it. But it's a guy apologizing to the Earth, whatever her name is. What's Earth's name in Greek? It's just the G. Anyways,
Gia.
Gia. Yep. Apologizing to Gia and Gia.
Gaia.
Gaia. Right. Either way, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm sorry for what we did to you, and I'm sorry that we poisoned you. And she says, that's okay, baby. And then the next panel is, you didn't hurt me at all. I'll miss you. Because that's what it's about. The Earth isn't going anywhere because we poisoned it. It'll be here. Don't worry about it. Life will live. It just might not be us anymore.
Like Joe Rogan once said, we are the mold on the sandwich. I sometimes believe that, what maybe our purpose is to fuck shit up.
It's Matrix, and when in the Matrix, we're not the good guys. We're the bad guys. The robots were right. Yeah. We're a cancer. That's what we do.
Yep.
We take things until we're done. We're a parasite. Yep.
We are a parasite into the planet being the host.
Exactly.
And, like you look at that a little bit too. Like I was like the, mold on the sandwich, but you just said something that kind of reminded me of something else, and I'm brain farting.
It's okay. Brain farts happen.
They horrible though.
During a brain fart, we like to sing songs.
During a brain fart. I don't even know how to add one so quick.
But your plays make me blue. It's been 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. I can't sing anymore. So we're good.
I still can't remember my quote. That's what pisses me off.
Joe Rogan, though, when you show me that video, it was totally.
It was like I think it was this 2005 stand-up special.
Stand-up, yeah, it was the intro to it, and it was spot on. It was not anything that. It wasn't a revelation to me because that's what I guess.
What it did, I think, it almost confirmed some of those at the time, kind of far-fetched beliefs,
yes.
But you're looking at it, you're witnessing it. I remember driving down to Florida and thinking and we'd stop at these different places and be like, they don't have a McDonald's, this sucks.
Funny. Yeah.
And now, you wished as a kid that McDonald's was everywhere because, man, once you got addicted to those Golden Arch fries, that's all you wanted. Whenever, what do you want to eat? McDonald's.
Big Mac.
How come you can't eat fast food every night? Then all of a sudden, I was the first generation. You might have been in this generation too, or you may have just noticed the shift. But I remember when there was family dinner, you'd sit around the table. But I also remember fast food did not happen often at all.
No, it was an exception to the rule.
And now as an adult,
it's all the time.
That's all that's available.
Yeah. I mean, tonight when I went to the restaurant that I went to, my decisions are, because at this point right now, I can't just go home and make a meal, or I can, but it's awkward. So it's like, I'd rather not do that. I come here and make meals sometimes, fantastic when I can.
He's a wonderful chef.
Yeah, thank you very much. I cook a couple things really well. Other things, not bad at all.
You're going to have to make a menu. In fact, that's maybe something you should do. You should put together a Bret menu. Here's Bret's specials.
You could totally just be like, I want to do this. I'm down, dude. I'll make a special menu. That sounds great.
I'll do it too. That sounds great. Here's things that I cook well.
Your chicken breast thing was fucking fantastic. Dude, just put that out there.
Shoot,
Dan can cook too.
I love trying new recipes that I find on Tasty. Or whatever. Facebook. It's like, oh, hey,
they made it. This should only take it 30 seconds. Look at It's 30 seconds long.
That you know when you're getting into food and diet because that's all that appears in your feed.
Yes.
But that's also what also sucks is like when you're going through a bout of depression.
Yep.
That's all that appears in your feed. And you're like, I really don't need to be reading this. Where's my food shit?
That's right. Exactly.
Like,
I don't want anything besides my food.
I don't care about 8 behaviors that make people this or that. I don't care about this or that. But I clicked on the article and that's all it took.
I liked 3 articles about 20 meals that I have no carbs and 27 grams of protein.
Some of the things
I need that list.
Some of the things that end up on there, like groups I'm having an issue with. I'm having a thing with because you join a group to get some information, but people post, if it's an active group, that group is nonstop. And for some reason, that's the shit that's always in your feed.
Yeah, sure.
And so like sometimes like you get in that group and it's like, I want that information.
What kind of groups are you in? I may be in 2 groups. Actually, I think I am only in 2 groups. I'm in the one for my homeowners association, which is fantastic. And it's just fun to look at. It's not useful, just fun. And I just joined the Hustlers group or something like that.
When are HOAs ever fun? Ooh, Hustlers group. What, is like the porno?
No, it's not. It's not. Chandler liked it at some point, and they made it known. It was like a like thing. It's just Hustlers, man. It's people just making it happen. Just being like, I live in fucking Amsterdam.
I'm in several
Where's
groups.
my people at in England? Where's my people at in Essex? Where's my people at in Boise, Idaho? I don't give a shit. They're just all hustlers trying to make things happen. So, but they ask questions, and I'm also in a couple PTA groups. The thing I like about my groups is exactly that. Is I can like that. It's a good place if I'm gonna get lost through my fucking news feed, just going blink blink. Oh, I like this. Oh, look at your dog. It's great. Oh, it's somebody's birthday. I never met you before, but I like it. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
I hate it when I get lost in that shit. So then I'll go to my groups and be like, all right, let me learn something about something that I was interested in at some point in my life.
So I follow like I'm in a SpaceX group, and
Nice.
so there's a bunch of stuff on that always pops up in my feed. But then like the one that actually honestly bothers me the most is one of the keto groups I'm in. And
And it bothers you.
it bothers me
Sweet.
because
What are they posting?
dude, it's just non-stop, and the majority of it's newbies. So like, which I get the questions they're asking, but they've been asked a million times
So you
already
need to do
today.
an offshoot group from that group to be like, hey, this is for people, members
But
of this group
what it is
who've been here for 3
the
months.
whole purpose of the group though is to share keto. It's the Keto Evangelist Kitchen, I believe. The
Keto Evangelist.
Keto Evangelist Kitchen.
Wow.
And they're a banging group. They really are. They're very supportive. They help people out. People are just taking pictures. But that's what my news feed ends up with is like pictures of stock items on Walmart, and they're asking if this like they'll grab like some Captain Crunch and be like, is this keto friendly? And it's like, God damn it. What the
Have you read anything in this group?
Do you know anything about keto?
To this? Yeah.
So, but it's always, I just started keto this week, blah, blah, blah. Like today, but then you find other people that, it's always just like photos of the stuff in the store, and what I'm looking for and most interested in is the actual recipes, hey, what are the recipes of how to prepare some great keto foods? Because your options are super limited, and you're trying to figure out how to gain get the most out of the fats you buy, like whether bacon, the stupidest question the other day I read, and I guess maybe it's a millennial thing, maybe it's a generational thing, I don't know, but like I grew up with my grandma storing grease from bacon,
Makes soups taste fantastic.
absolutely you can grill your artichokes in that bacon grease. Why would you go buy fat if you've already rendered it?
Yeah, right. Do you have a jar of bacon grease?
Yeah,
Stop buying coconut oil.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep, it can sit right there too. It doesn't.
That will never go bad.
Yep, just throw it in the pan.
Yep, the thick stuff on top tastes better.
The older it is. But she asked, it's an
concentrates.
honest question, and I get it, and there's like, 70 some comments on it or whatever, and but at the same point, it's like, there's a lot of like novice questions on there. And what you're really trying to get to is it's like, I don't care about the deal that you got at, Farmer Jack's. Okay, that's good. Maybe
What are you going to do with that?
Maybe it's like, all right, I did need to know that I could get 18 packs of butter on sale if I went to Farmer Jack's right now. Maybe that is a positive thing to the community. Who knows? I don't know.
There's a lot of people with Farmer
at the
Jack's
same
all the
time, I'm
Yes.
just like, all right, what you get at Farmer Jack's and how you cooking it? Because that's what I want to know.
Right.
I want to know I want to know the little bit of different things. I want to know like, hey, you know what? I'm looking for an alternative chips. Oh, hey, you know what we did is we, grilled cheese and baked it and made
It's
cheese
fantastic.
chips.
Those things are great.
Yeah, 'cause absolutely. So you can munch on a shit ton of chips and
It's all fat.
be like 4
Protein.
grams of carbs.
Yes. So
Like as opposed to like 12 chips being 14 grams of carbs.
12 chips.
12 chips
Do
is
you like
usually a
Pringles?
serving.
Stop liking Pringles. That's the key. How do I eat Pringles?
I don't
on a keto
remember who it
diet?
was.
Well, you don't.
Oh, I do. I think I went to go see Rogan live, and it was Tony Hitchcliffe, I think, is who opened for him. And it was he had this joke about keto, and it was so funny, man. He's talking about how the fat-free cream cheese is not helping you. Like, in fact, it's not the cream cheese at all. You need to be eating that crap full fat. It's the bagel that's growing your ass, like totally butchered his joke. His delivery is so much better, but that was the point.
That was the whole
it's just
point,
so
yeah.
funny is it's totally, we make all these alternative moves to be fat free,
Yeah.
to be healthy living. But then when you realize, like when Hot Pockets, like I remember the day that all of a sudden everything in the frozen food section was now made with real cheese.
Nice.
And you're thinking like, oh, well, what was it made with before?
food stuff.
But then
American
you
food
become an
stuff.
adult and you realize, oh, real cheese is a brand name, trademarked brand
Right.
name. That
Cheese,
real
little
cheese is
circle.
the fakest fucking cheese you'll ever eat in your life.
Dude, when, Robert used to tell me that all the time. No, you're not making cheese. That's not a cheeseburger. That's a food stuff burger. Cheese like craft cheese slices. He's like, that's not cheese. That's food
cheese
stuff.
product.
It's cheese product.
Yep.
That has nothing
Or
to do
cheese
with
food.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Yep. He's like, that's not cheese. And it took me a while to realize that really wasn't cheese. But I think with the keto thing and to the point of like low fat, low sugar, whatever it is. I mean, if you look at it over
It's
the course
definitely,
of history,
keto is not low fat and low sugar. Keto
No,
is just
no.
killing the carbs. It's high fat and no sugar.
Yeah,
You're trying
that's
to
what I'm
drop a
saying,
lot of
though.
it.
So I'm talking about the fads in general. I'm talking about decades-long fads. And ketos have been established now because it was, what's his name? The whatever diet before it was keto, before they really nailed it down.
Well, they still have it, but it's the Atkins diet.
Yeah. It was
It's
Atkins.
just a meat or
But
protein-based
you
diet,
got
but
it.
that's it. This is beyond that because you're cutting a lot of your protein too. In a keto diet, you're really just trying to consume less than 50 grams of carbs a day.
Right. And nail your fat and have some protein.
And high fat intake.
High fat. That's where those fat bombs come in and shit.
Yeah,
That's where like, oh,
Well, what it does is,
handle
and
it.
like the people, like I remember my mom instantly when I first fasted, and I'm like, I'm going to try this ketosis thing, and I was really waiting for the keto flu too, but maybe I didn't up my fat intake high enough. I'm supposed to be consuming like 92 grams of fat a day, and under 50, like I think it was like 48 or 42 grams of carbs. Which 42 grams of carbs is insane. I mean, a can of Coke has 32 grams of carbs.
Yes.
Okay, obviously I'm not drinking Coke, but like
Yeah, you can't even like hit your meat and vegetables. You got to hit your meat.
a handful
and-
of nuts,
and
you're like
barely
a third
any
of your
veggies.
carb
Yeah,
intake.
you're fucking toast. Yeah, it's hard to do.
So it's like all bacon, but like that's the thing. You fry up a pound of bacon and you have that shit in the fridge and you dip it in some peanut butter.
And when
once
you
in a
want
while.
something, you just eat the things. I mean, that's what I've noticed about diets in general is like, if I'm going to be healthy, then if I don't want to eat crap, stuff yourself with the shit that's not crap. Just stuff yourself with it. You know what? You want the big ass burger? What if you make yourself a big ass salad and you just eat a big motherfucking salad? I guarantee you by the time you're done, you will not want a burger.
I've explored like vegetarian and veganism. Like I have two friends, husband and wife. One was more vegetarian, one kind of went vegan, and now they're both kind of off that kick because it affected their health in a negative way,
Yeah.
which was interesting. And you
heard that
see that a
before.
lot because you just end up deficient in so many areas.
Yep.
And what's also interesting with like the carb diet, like my biggest problem, like for the longest time was just, I would like not eat all day. And then all of a sudden after 6 o'clock, I'm eating until I'm asleep, and I might even be sleep eating. I might even like sleep for an hour and then it's like 3:30 and you're like, I just need some nuts.
food right now.
I just need a bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
It's shit food.
Yeah.
Processed shit food. Well, not nuts, but processed shit food most of the time. And but that was the hardest thing to kick. But like once, like the fast is what really reset everything. And I didn't even know if I could fast that way. Now to even get to where I could fast, what I learned was I had to cut out the carbs because here's the problem. Carbs make you
want
more hungry.
carbs, bro.
Exactly.
Yes, dude. I tell you what, just to kind of back that up a little bit. So recently I've cut down on carbs, right? But what I've noticed when I've been lackadaisical about it, when I've been like, I'll have this, piece of bread or whatever, which I don't do, but I'll have this burger.
Here comes the carb coma.
Yeah. Well, carb coma for sure. But also, you know what I want? I want to eat again. I just want to eat again. I just want to have some more food. And it doesn't matter what the food is. I'm not at that point going like, I just want a fucking brownie. I just want to eat something.
Right.
So if I'm good about it, then my yogurt with a fucking cheese stick and an apple with peanut butter will sustain me at lunchtime. And if I'm not, if I've had some shit for breakfast, like a Pop-Tart or some shit out the door, game over. No way, dude. That stuff.
Yep. 3 hours later, I'm hungry again. I need to munch on something.
Yes.
That's the worst thing about being on set of a film is that's all they offer. Are you grabbing beer? Yeah. That's like the worst thing is like when you're on a movie set, majority of the craft services are junk food. Like it's all processed junk food. And that's what you're like using as fuel all day, which sometimes it's good. You're like, oh, I got some sugar, I got some energy, but you're constantly crashing off that. You're constantly needing more and you're working 12 to 16 hours and it becomes pretty brutal. You don't know. Like it's like you wonder why, you just crash at the end. You're totally just done. And like when you're eating that kind of diet and you're on it for 30 days, it totally
plus 12 to 18-hour days. It's not like you're just, if you had a diet like that and you worked 8-hour days and you could control the rest of your life in the meantime, like, I just worked 8 hours a day. I know I ate kind of like crap today, but I'm only going to eat for 6 hours, or I'm going to eat for 8 hours. That's fine. But when you're working fucking 18-hour days, you're up way too early and up way too late. And when you're hungry and you look at what's on the food train, you're like, yep, I guess I'm eating that. Bagel?
Yeah, dude, you get so bound up. I mean, it messes with everything when you're on set because your eating schedule is one thing, and they try to feed you every 6 hours, but your shit schedule is totally you're messed up. You're totally messed with your gut. It's interesting. But that's like the whole thing about like I was telling someone else, like there's a whole thing. There's this whole debate about intermittent fasting and then also time restricted diet. Yeah. And when you're doing those two things, which are very similar,
sure.
It's just where the focus is applied. But you're like people are like, I can't fast for a day, and I'm like thinking about that, and it's like, yeah, you can.
Yes, you can.
Like just try it.
Did you sleep? You can definitely fast for a day.
Yeah, it's not as hard as you think. Now it is hard. Say if like. All right, if your like brain is thinking, I got to eat a bunch of food so I can do this fast, that is the wrong way to think about it.
Right. You got to go into it thinking that I'm going to eat less.
No. I'm talking about your mental prep as well as your physical prep. Because if you're mentally prepping that, then you're like, yeah, I'm pigging out the day before, which usually means you're ingesting high caloric and high fucking carb intake.
Yeah, sure.
And that carb intake is, if anyone noticed, if you eat before you go to bed, your stomach is growling in the morning.
Yeah.
You're ready for more food. But if you don't eat and you can get onto that, it really becomes this control of your hunger. And then you realize you start eating when you need to eat and how much you really need to eat. Like if anyone's been like, oh my God, I haven't ate all day. And then they go to everyone's done this. I haven't ate all day. They go to the restaurant with some friends and everyone's ordering food and their eyes get bigger than their stomach.
Yeah.
Because I would normally eat this, right? And I know I'm hungry, so I don't have a problem getting that extra side or whatever, right? And you get it and you can't even plow through half of it. Yes.
It's because you've put it off. And your stomach's
already adapting.
Now it's that fast. It's your body's already going, you really don't need that.
Yep.
Thank you for the food. Thank you for the sustenance. I appreciate the protein, the carbs, and everything else you put into me, but you just don't need anymore. That was when I was a glutton. When I was 200 pounds, it was absolutely because I would just eat beyond the point.
200 pounds.
Well, I'm fucking 5'7", bro. You know what I mean? And I wasn't working out. It wasn't like I was fucking ripping off 120 pound.
Well, you're the one that actually motivated me. Like that story is actually kind of funny because that dynamic a year ago when we were hanging out and I realized finally that like I was like, wow, I got a tire sitting around my waist. How come no one's made mention of this to me? I see myself on film and I'm like,
it's because I had a tire too. So I was gonna.
Your friends will never tell you that you're getting fat. They may tell you look too thin, but that's just because they're jelly.
You look skinny, Dan.
peanut butter jealous right
I
there.
was skinny. Right. But I'll never be like on my back deck being like eating steak and asparagus with a potato and look at you and go, Dan's got a little bit of a belly as I'm piling food into my mouth and just pounding it and like, and then there's dessert. I've had 6 beers. I'm going to have 6 more.
Well, I go to, so like, I remember the day that did it for me. The day that change came about. And it was, we had a conversation and I end up going to Hooters and I'm hungry as shit, didn't eat all day. We had already talked about like, man, I really need to reduce the carbs. I'm feeling like a glutton. At the time, I'm weighing almost 230, 230 pounds. I'm 6'1". So, I definitely had a belly, man. Like these jeans are crazy how much they don't fit because I haven't bought new clothes yet. But it was interesting. So I go there, I ordered, I was like, oh man, they got the pretzels with the beer cheese. I'm like, that sounds delicious. So I order that and she's like, did you want anything else? And I'm like, yeah, give me the cheeseburger with blah, blah, blah. And so I order that and that comes with fries too, of course. I didn't know that.
Cheeseburger, fries, and
I
pretzels
ate
to
it
start.
all. I ate every little. I ate the entire fucking
That sounds
appetizer.
great.
Oh, it was delicious.
Sounds so good.
And I was regretting it before I even got home. I literally got home and I sat down in the chair and I'm like, I'm going to pop something on, like, and just relax for a little bit, smoke a cigarette. Next thing I know, it's 3 hours later. Like literal carb coma, total nap. No need for tryptophan. I just like woke up and I'm like,
A nap in the middle of the night. That's what
what
carbs
the hell
do.
am I doing
Kicks
with
your
my
ass.
life?
Wait a minute. I had all of that.
That was like where it was like, all right, that's too much. You're becoming a pig. You're becoming, why are you eating all this bread?
funny.
The bread is what I should not be eating. I just consumed all of that. That's all I ate, starch and bread.
Yeah.
And I needed to change that. I remember like when I tried like even just going low carb, that was what I did first, And so like I did low carb for probably 2 months before I decided to try keto.
Right.
So I was already trying to focus on eating a healthier lifestyle before I attempted the keto diet.
But you have to. That's what I find with diets or eating in general or better in general. So like I'm down to 173 from 200 pounds. And it's not because I made I never did fasting. I never did keto and all the things that you've done that I definitely have interest in. Like, oh, I think to get to the next level, I should do that. Like give me down to 165.
But you don't have to do it for very long. That's the thing. And the more they study about it, it's not so much important that you maintain a keto diet. It's more important that you just do, like 2 months. Like, 2 weeks is good, where you're pure keto. But like where you're focused on your diet and where you're switching what your body is using as fuel.
Right.
That's
that's
the
what they
biggest
used to
thing.
do. That was, I know he got interviewed on Rogan. I know I heard him on the.
They always talk about this.
But the one guy, I mean, he basically does keto for a little bit, goes on it for 2 weeks, gets to keto for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So goes on it and then stays there
pure
for 2
keto.
weeks. Yep. And then he comes off it and just eats well. But what it does, I think the reason why it works, in the long run, in the long term, is the same reason why any diet works in the long run. The long term, if you're of the mindset to do it, is that it teaches you what your body needs. So keto flips what your body needs 100%. But what I learned to lose my weight, and I lost a lot of weight. I was just saying 25 plus pounds is a substantial amount of weight. And I haven't significantly changed my diet. It's not like it's going crazy. You know what I mean? I still eat what I want to eat.
Okay, so
But what I did was like, now I know when I'm full. Now I know when I'm eating crap. You know, now
You're more conscious
I'm
of
just
it.
more conscious of exactly what
It's
I'm
just
putting
like
in my
when you
body.
start changing your buying habits for the first time. You realize like, why the fuck do I have this in my cart?
Yep.
Like how much of my shopping cart right now is incidental buying?
There was, you know what? We just talked about the books the other day.
Well, I want to make a point that which was, okay, so we start about the same time.
Yeah, we both lost weight.
All right, so I went from 230 and I'm down to like 178 now, like about 180. Let's just call it that. So
that's
50
a
pounds.
crazy
So
amount.
that's where the difference is. Like that extra, that extra 20 pounds came from me doing that keto. Right. And I didn't know what it was going to be like. I just knew that I was trying. Because I remember when I was going low carb, that was the thing. I was like, all right, no bread. And so I'm buying tortillas. And then I realized
the
that my
tortillas have
tortilla
like
shells,
5 grams less than bread. They got a lot.
more. Okay, so like a healthy slice of bread, a healthy slice, that's meaning healthy, like as in like, oh, I'm trying to be conscious of my carbs. Yeah, not like healthy, like I'm getting the,
Right.
Market Fresh from Arby's. That's just worse. But okay, for instance, I guess I can actually go with that. Like a market fresh sandwich at Arby's is like with the turkey is like 82 grams of carbs. But if you get that as a wrap, it's only like 37 or 42 grams of carbs. So it almost drops it by half.
Right.
But at the same time, when you look at the bread that like if you just normally buy and you're looking at for like a lover's loaf or something healthy, you know, you're still looking at between like 8 to 12 grams of carbs a slice.
Yeah.
So sandwich is 2 slices. So right there's, you know, half of my carb.
So if you want to be a keto,
but then I would like when you start looking at the wrap, it's like, okay, put it in a wrap. But like, even if you're going low carb wrap, I mean, you're still looking at between 12 to 17 grams of carbs for that wrap. So you're basically about cutting it in half, or if really only by about a third.
and keto is sub 50.
Keto, okay, so like when I was talking to a couple people at Hurley, you know, for healthy diet and what's actually recommended for carb intake, you know, like how many, like this is what blows people's minds in my head is it's like people just don't even realize the amount of carbs that they're consuming.
Sure.
Like they eat a king size candy bar and don't realize that that's 3 servings.
Dude,
You know, they eat
terrible.
a bag of candy at the theater and don't realize that it's 3 servings. And I think they're changing some of that now to where you actually see that, but it doesn't matter at that point.
Not
Okay, or
much.
just ate 72 grams of carbs in this Sour Patch Kids
Right.
plus my drink. You know, like
Right.
people are like, I'm going to eat healthy. And, you know, and it's like, okay, well, let's just take a Mexican meal to where you're not eating conventional bread. If that's the first thing you're going to cut out, how many chips did you eat beforehand? And then the beans and rice are loaded with carbs. And then your tortillas or whatever and your cheese, there are carbs there.
Yes.
Before you know it, you've consumed, and not to mention, how many times did you refill your pop? That's the killer for most people. It's like people who are drinking pop. It's like the carbs are.
Yeah, Pop's just
One
to go.
can of Coke is 32 grams of carbs.
Right.
So if you're filling up that big one, you know, 3 times,
Yeah, game over.
you know, yeah, so what the nurses and the nutritionalists were like, yeah, you know, you should be consuming about like 50 to 60 grams carbs a meal. Okay, so that puts you at what, 120, 330,
Yeah.
or 300 and whatever. I don't know, math. I went to Duran.
450. 150 a meal?
66 times 3, 100.
Oh, 180. Yeah.
180 grams of carbs a day. And that's a healthy style. That's what they recommend to diabetics and yada, yada, yada. Maybe not diabetics. Don't quote me on that. But the point being is like, that's like a normal, that's like what people should be consuming. People are consuming like that a meal
They're
what I'm trying
consuming
to say.
1,500 grams.
Oh, so
of carbs,
many,
yes.
so many grams of carbs. So even if you can just cut it to that, like what I've always told people is like, if you, like, you know, when they started seeing me losing weight, the first question, well, what are you doing? You know, and honestly, it's like, if you can just restrict your carbs, if that's the only thing you do is just take your carb count from whatever it's at
it
now
in half.
to 200,
Yeah.
to 200, you're going to noticeably see a difference,
Right.
you know, in a month. If you want to see drastic change, drop it under 100. If you want to see, like, if you want to make moves, like where there's like a 7, if you want to do something for a week and
Right.
okay, start with a fast and then go full keto. Try, you know, only consume 50 grams of carbs a day or less.
Right. And see how much weight you lose in a week.
Yep. And that doesn't mean that you don't eat. A lot of people think like, oh, well, I can't eat if I do that. No, fuck, you just, this is where the big thing comes in, because like when you're trying to diet like that and you end up at a 50 gram carb count where you're eating a lot of food, you are eating a lot of meat.
Right.
And, you know, I understand, you know, the environmental side of it, aspect of it. I understand like where a lot of vegetarians or vegans, more, you know, animal cruelty. I get a
You
lot
can
of
eat
that.
fish for days if you want to. Yeah, I mean, you can only do so much with when you're eating a protein. When you're eating protein, poultry, pork, fish, meat, steak, whatever. Yeah, that's what you're doing. You're hitting that side of it. So if
You are hitting the other side of it. And some of it seems very counterintuitive, but I will tell you this, everything that I've learned so far, and I'm going to go right back to the real cheese.
Right.
It's all counterintuitive. It's all designed to make you not get what you want. Honestly,
Yeah.
like half of the muscle fitness and magazines about working out and how to get this. And sure, you can find improvements and you can find little things in there. And there's some great information in there. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you know, after speaking to a true trainer and former Mr. Olympian, what you find out is you can have the body of a Greek god with 10-pound weights. And what it really comes down to is like, it all comes down to what you're trying to build for sure, whether it's strength, endurance, or just size, but at the same time,
But it's the work. It's the work you put into it. No, you don't ever get anything out of.
but going to max and doing all these things, like, you're risking injury, you're
It's
risking
fun to
so
see,
much.
man. But yeah, exactly. You're just risking a bunch of stuff. It's like,
And you don't need to do that for the same results.
Yes, right.
And people need to know that because they're always like, well, they try to max out every week. And
But it
then-
applies to diet too. That's the diet. So for me, I never went under 50 grams of carbs. I never really paid attention to the carbs other than to say, like, I'm not going to eat straight up bread and pasta for days, which was not hard for me because I rarely did that anyways, besides an occasional burger. You know what I mean? I really don't eat a lot of bread. But the most bread I had, like the thing that I had with bread would be peanut butter and cinnamon sugar on bread. That was like the thing that I did with the bread, which is rare. It wasn't a daily thing. But where I killed my carbs, where I ate carbs like crazy, besides drinking beer, was chips and snacks and all the shit that my kids had in their house. That I'd be like, hey,
They
it's
need it
10
for their
o'clock at
lunch.
night. It's 10 o'clock at night. I've had 4 beers. I've been out in the yard all day. I already had dinner. I want dessert like 10 times. I'm gonna eat all this stuff.
This is where I get interesting, because where does it become cruelty? Where does it become anything? Because me not having kids, I always look at like when I have a kid, he's my science experiment.
Oh, no. Will not. If your kid is your science experiment, you're doing it right, brother. I'm not even kidding you. If you can be conscious about what you're doing with your kid all the time, which is what a science experiment implies on the good end, it implies so many things on the bad end.
What if you just lock this kid in a room for 12 years with a piano?
Right.
What would he come
What's
up
gonna
with?
happen, right?
My
He's gonna
kid
be
is the next
fucked up,
Bach.
but he's gonna be amazing. Yeah, exactly. He could kill hundreds of people, but he's gonna be amazing.
No video games. So
right.
just a keyboard, as in like a musical
So
keyboard.
socially awkward.
I'm just gonna give him a
He'll still get
xylophone.
laid, but he just won't even know what it means. He won't even be interested in it.
Right.
He's
Would you be
30 years
interested?
old.
What are you introducing? So, like, I was just reading this article, and what spawned this idea, or what was the whole. I was just reading this article about this kid that I think. Oh man, now I can't remember, and I'm converging it, but I think she's 7 years old, and she hasn't had sugar yet in her life.
Right.
Okay. And it was just one of those things. Like her mom
Good
is
for
like
her.
never let her kid have sugar. And I can only imagine at 7, like, okay, now you're going into a public school system or school system,
Things are changing.
like, okay, things are definitely going to end up changing. But hasn't had sugar. But like, so like I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, okay, what if you were able to do that? One, that'd be hard. But then I'm hearing you're like, well, I end up snacking on all my kids' stuff. And then it's like, right. So why are we as adults making these more healthier, conscious decisions? Avoiding basically the argument
Jesus.
because
Are you
the kid
kidding me?
wants the fucking fruit
Are you kidding me,
snacks.
dude? Like, so my situation, absolutely. I know. In my situation, the argument at my house was, so it was all my stepchildren and then versus my children and Shannon versus myself. And Shannon is all about just buying shit that costs too much. Here's a 100-calorie snack of fucking Cheetos and Oreos and so but the thing is the convenience of it. This is how it works. This is how they
Well, that's
sell
the
those
trick
things.
too, is they get you counting
It's the
calories
convenience,
instead of
bro.
carbs.
Right, bro, both of those things. It's just the convenience factor. The thing that sells moms, soccer moms, volleyball moms.
Here's 24
baseball moms.
packs. Good. That gets me like at least halfway
You
through the
goddamn
month.
right, and that is what does it. And if
Variety.
if it costs you $5 for cut up watermelon and it lasts 3 days, or you can buy a whole watermelon for $5 and chop it up yourself and last for 7 days. They're not cutting that shit up. They don't have fucking time for that. They're taking their kids to fucking 5 different games.
Food prep's one thing.
You got it, dude. So that was the crux of the whole entire argument for the whole entire situation. Because my kids wouldn't come there and just pig out on stuff. You know that Jackson doesn't pig out on stuff. He doesn't even have stuff to pig out on. At least, unfortunately, doesn't have the money to pig out on stuff. She definitely does when she has it, but she doesn't have that option. So I would always tell my kids, if you're getting a snack, you got to ask. You got to ask me. Shannon's kids just fucking opened that cupboard up and it was just fucking a field day. It was like, what? Just sugar for days. And there's no chance, no chance at all that her kids are going to be healthy eaters unless they make the decision as adults to be healthy eaters. They have there is no standard that they've seen before. There's nothing in their lives that they can be like, I remember when my mom did this. I remember my dad did this. No, that doesn't even exist.
That's where I was just going to get. But does that even work?
Yes.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Because like in the end, my mom caved. Because the truth is the more you're a child that wants these things. I remember my mom cut out bread. Okay,
Sure.
Like that was definitely a thing that happened in the house. All of a sudden there was no cereal. All of a sudden there was no bread. All of a sudden there's this.
What are you gonna be? The key is consistency. You don't.
But here's the thing. It was like her making that change.
Yeah.
And then the family having to make that change. And then there is no change because you're going to school and you're like, oh,
that's the dynamic, bro. So that is 100% how you paint to your kids. So if you want to get down to your kids doing the things that you would suggest that they would do, or living the lifestyle that you suggest that they would live, as far as healthy eating goes, let's just be specific. You have to be consistent. It's the same with kids, with anything that you teach your kid. You do not get to be inconsistent.
I remember everyone was pissed.
Yeah,
like even Scott was like, but here's the thing. Even when you're going through that, okay, like trying to eat healthy and not eat bread, it is a trial. Like,
but it only is if
it's hard.
It's hard for everybody in the household.
No, I'm talking about for the person that's the one go-getter that's trying to do this.
Yes.
And so when you end up with 3 to 4 other people that are tag teaming, where the fuck's the bread so we can eat a sandwich?
Right. And maybe as an adult, you're like, Mom, I respect you for doing that. It's amazing. But if you
don't want the bread, don't eat the bread. I want to eat the bread,
Mom. If you
Mom.
want kids to do it, though, it's got to be consistent. That's the thing about it. If you want your kids to live that way, you got to consistently do that thing.
Right. And I think it's also where it's implemented. You can't implement something or something becoming normal. I think that's where expectations in humans end up failing is, once something becomes normal, it becomes normal. So you think that that's just what it is. And you don't realize that that's what you end up expecting to continue. Because when that all of a sudden drops off, you're like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden now you're expecting them to be how they were before. And now you have expectations for them.
Yeah, expectations suck. They absolutely suck. But the key is for a kid is to see consistency, even if it's only the consistency and the effort. So if you're going to be healthy, so for example, if I had my kids now and I wanted to be healthy like I do want to be now, and they just saw me struggle being healthy the whole time, but that's all they ever saw was me continuing like to fall and to get back up and to fall and to get back up, then that's building something in them that's only going to help them for their whole lives and every aspect of their lives to see their parent continue to just try.
Absolutely.
But if you fail, or if you're just one way, you don't have to fail. Just be one way and then flip the way that you are, especially once they're conscious of their environment, right? They're not 5 years old. They're fucking 10 years old. It's a blip. It's a blip in the radar. That's all that it is. It's like that. Like, I remember when my mom didn't let us have bread for 2 years. That sucked.
It was like 2 months and she didn't last.
It doesn't sell you anything. It doesn't build anything with your kid. But if you can convince your kid the whole entire time, as much of a failure as you are, because we're all failures, it turns out in real life, that at least you're trying to not fail, then that's the most important lesson that you can teach your kid. Because they'll never ever come out of that.
Here's the thing. It's like it's also in a very weird way some sort of reverse psychology, because you end up. It's like my mom. You want to clean your room. I never wanted to clean my room. I was the kid that hid everything under his bed. You never wanted to have a clean room. But until the day that you wanted to have a clean room. And now that I live by myself, or now that I live out, it's like I like my shit neat.
It works, bro. Yeah. What is that? You can't even call that reverse psychology. What that is, that's just psychology. That's why when your kid turns 12 years old and hates you until he's 16 and barely likes you until he's 18, and then you don't hear from him until he's 22,
and then he loves you again.
You don't ever change the things you're doing or the lessons you're teaching him, because when he's an adult, you're not teaching your kid to be a good person at the time, although that's very important. You're teaching him how to grow up and handle the world and be a good person when he's an adult, he or she. That's what you're doing. You're teaching him, I want you to grow up to be a person that contributes to everything that matters, in whatever way you can
society, community.
Yep. Yeah. Or your family. I don't care how big your circle is, your sphere is. You know what I mean? I want you to know that you have a sphere, and you should be a positive influence in your sphere, whatever, how big or little it is. If you're just a housewife, just a housewife. That was pretty offensive. If that's all that you are, and you only influence your kids and your husband, and that's about the extent of it, which is huge, and it should be paid to like $2 million a year to all your housewives out there. But regardless, if that's all that it is, or if your kid is a fucking super genius and he's gonna go on and make some fucking genetic fucking changes to the world, you just want them to do that within the context of being a good person. Like, I'm doing this to make things better. And now, then you get to the point where, like, well, what's better for you for somebody else? That's fine. That's when you get all kinds of crazy thoughts about.
No, you're just trying to give them the building blocks that they need to become
and that's
successful or better them. I mean, that's what it is every day, right? We're just trying to become a better person than we were yesterday.
You got it.
Even if it's just a baby step, because sometimes it's not a day at a time. Sometimes it's 5 minutes at a time, and it gets hard out there. Like there's so much shit. I wish I could say that it's thrown at you, but it's not. It's fisted down your throat. You don't have a choice on so much of it. It's ridiculous.
It is.
You're constantly just trying to figure out, like, how can I keep this in my system but regurgitate the rest of that?
Yeah, and not worry about it. I think the coolest thing, or the thing that, well, it's a class thing. It's the way that it works is if you can teach your kid to take all that thing in, all that shit in, getting fisted in, and
well, they're getting fisted more than any. I mean, we didn't get fisted till we were adults,
right?
Okay, they're getting fisted before kindergarten. Like here's this device that you're truly going to fall in love with. Yep. It's going to give you every single object that you ever wanted. I can't even
fathom what's happening in 20 years. They're not. That technology has advanced.
People
so
bitch
much
about the iPhone being $1,000, and I always have this to say about it. Okay, there's more technology in that phone right now than there was to get people to the moon. And at the same time,
true for 10 years.
Yeah, that's been true for 10. Well, since the first phone came. Since the first iPhone came out too, for sure. But like, I look at this iPhone now, and it's like, no, okay, this camera is high quality. I can take very good photos that could pass with the proper framing as professional photos. I mean, there's like even a whole market. Movies are being shot on phones. You have right there is another $1,000 item.
Right.
That camera is $1,000 item. Like, that's where it goes. Like, the technology, everyone, it's $1,000.
My phone
you would have paid $1,000 for a camera that you could have portable that fit in your pocket.
My phone was $900, bro, and I didn't even think about that when, because Jackson was the one that brought it up. Oh, you got the newest phone? He's just amazed that I got a 9 Plus. And I was like, yeah, I just got the new. As far as I was concerned, the newest iteration of the Samsung that I wanted. I had a 6 Plus active. It's time to get a new phone, and I'll get the newest one, please. Thank you. Half off, fantastic. Half off was $425. It's $50 less than the fucking iPhone X, and the other one is our $600, $800. So when he brought that up, he said that's a $900 phone. I was like, no, it's not. It's a $450 phone. And I was like, but it's really a $900 phone. But I tell you what, when I have it in my pocket, not being the skilled fucking photographer that you are or anybody else is, I'm like, this is my phone though. This is the thing. This does all the things
that's going to capture my memories
that I want to do.
Yep, that's going to connect me with the world. I got the, like, that's also the other thing that really is interesting in the exploration of education is, before it used to be, how can I ascertain this information? And it was very regional. It was very much like where you were from, what you were taught. And now you have no excuse. Any answer that you have is now instantly available. Like, you constantly have more. You have the entire Encyclopedia Britannica on file, well, well as everyone's comments on it.
Yeah. So you have to. So teaching. So that's a good point. So teaching in general, I worked the farm this whole entire fucking year, and now I gotta go back to school so I can learn how not to work the farm anymore, and the way it's built. And like I had two verbal arguments, like 3 papers on year-round schooling, just because I tutored South Koreans. They go to school for 220 days a year round. Then they go to academy. All they do from 5 years old on is go to school. And I'm not exaggerating. That's all they do. They don't even get into high school unless they can test into it. They don't get into college unless they can test into it. But in the meantime, those kids that don't get into high school are probably smarter than our high school graduates.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you just told me that you're teaching Koreans English. Okay, that's the biggest part that like most people don't realize is every other country teaches like they have to learn multiple languages, and we have like some curriculum in that, but I can't. I took Spanish.
We have
I
two
can't
Spanish.
speak
We have
much
two
Spanish.
semesters, bro.
And that's not even
Senor.
supposedly a foreign language. Did you realize that? Like Spanish
No,
is not
no,
a
it's
foreign
wrong.
language
No.
in the
Well,
United
it's not
States.
because
it's not
we don't have
supposed to be. It
yeah.
never was supposed to be.
We don't have any language. That's how we work. And that's a whole other story. But that's the thing about it is that with education, it becomes what are we educating our kids for? So like there is a skilled trade glut in Michigan, and the U.S. in general, but specifically in Michigan.
Oh, in Michigan, yeah.
Yeah. And it's those
Because
jobs.
no one's learning the dirty jobs
Those
anymore.
jobs pay you $80,000 a year just to get it, just to go. I'm gonna be an apprentice. I'm gonna make $45,000 a year. Yeah, and then you're gonna log 1,000
Yeah,
hours, and you're
absolutely.
like 1,000 hours. That's crazy. You're like,
I've got a great story to just point
Yeah.
in case this back. Dude, was working at a company doing video for him. This kid who is like 24 years old, just driving the fanciest Beamer, and he didn't even he had his diploma. You know what I mean? Like he's making bank,
Killing it.
and
Yep.
it's because it's such in high demand. Everyone, like every manufacturing company that I've been to, and I've even spoke to the MMA, like everyone's dealing with the same problem, and a lot of it comes down to recruitment. There's just not the skilled craftsmen and artisans out there that there used to be, and the people that are the hiring pool, they're of retirement age.
Right.
So it's like, how can anyone build a career? If like you're
the
trying.
only way they can possibly do it. I mean, and there's a couple initiatives that
Well, it just
are
became this
asshole
like
government.
very dirty word.
You got it, dude. If you're skilled trade, then you don't have skill. If you're wait, what do you do? I'm a carpenter. While you're at it, could give me a drink. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was
I'm a welder.
100% like
Yeah.
you don't have any skill. Are you kidding me, dude? I'll build your fucking house.
Exactly.
I'll build that gazebo that you want. I'll build every fucking thing.
And these are the
in
people that we
world.
rely on.
Do you like
going
furniture? You can't sit in that if I don't fucking build it, motherfucker. You
circling
can't do
it back to infrastructure. I mean, these are the
Yep.
people that we rely on for basically every
Everything.
single thing. And
And they should get paid like they get paid, but
Absolutely.
they don't. What they don't do is it's marketing. They don't.
not all of them get paid
advertise.
that way, though.
Well,
That's
no.
the other thing. They because corporations have taken out a lot of the unions, a lot of these skilled laborers. It's really hard to compete for those funds. Somehow
just
it got
you
knocked
heard
down from
about
$30 an hour to $12 an hour.
the law that they just passed, right? You know the law that just passed.
No.
So when you hired as on a government contract,
It's a Michigan law.
Yep, Michigan law. And Snyder actually didn't like it, which is, I mean, good for him. You know what I mean? But it was
Never
surprising.
good for him. That guy is
Yeah, he's bad, but good for him for not liking this particular law. What it is that if you got a state, or maybe state and federal, but anyways, a government gig, and you were not union, you got paid union prices. That's it. So if I was a carpenter and union prices were $24 an hour, and I was a fucking $18 an hour laborer, I'm $24 an hour. That's what it is to do this job, to build this building, this state building. So I really wish I could remember exactly how it was worded, because they always paint it like a right to work. They always paint it like, oh, there's fucking
I've come to notice that whatever they titled it, it's the opposite.
It's opposite. It's like
The American Freedom Act? You mean the American Slavery Act?
got it,
So, like,
dude.
we're gonna get rid
God,
of
it's
all of your privacy.
fucking terrible,
Oh, you thought
dude.
that other one was bad?
It's labeling, bro.
We're gonna package this
marketing.
800-page
marketing.
legislation
Yep.
with 400 blank pages. Just sign this off. We're
Just
gonna
sign
fill
this
that
off.
in
Yeah,
later.
you're not gonna look at this. That's marketing, but that's what they do. They're not marketing. So, anyways, that law just passed, and it. God, what is it? It was so he can't even veto it. It got passed. I'm 99% sure, or it's in the process. So basically, what it says is that when we have a state-funded project or a federally funded project, you do not have to get paid wages. You don't have to get paid union wages like you'd expect. So obviously the against is like, well, that means that they're going to go someplace else. And I tell you what, man, I did skilled trades. I did carpentry. 2 crews took off out of Michigan because the pay was so low. It's not a maybe that that's what's going to happen. When they say that that's what's going to happen, they're not just speaking to their ass to try to sell you on the point. They're like, oh no, we'll all leave. Don't you worry about it. Other states are going to pay us way better. And that's what they do. That's what skilled trade does. It's all over the place. But the other thing is they don't sell skilled trades the way that they should. So my gig, I went to school for 2 years, 3 years really, but 2 years for the degree to make $25 an hour, roughly, to make, $45,000 to $50,000 a year. And I was a framer at some point in my life, and it was fantastic. And if I knew that I could go to school for fucking 6 months to get a certificate and then join a union and make $22 an hour and then apprentice for fucking 5 years, I would have fucking been a framer, dude. That was the coolest job in the world. But they don't bill it like that. They don't advertise it like that. There's not commercials on TV that says, hey, you like welding? Are you fucking kidding me? How much? So you did that for a company where there was a little class with fucking booths.
Yeah, you were on a billboard, Brett.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. And that billboard, I should have been like, all right, now that I'm on the billboard, I want to fucking join the class. Yeah. I want to take home $1,500 a week. That's what I want to take home. Yeah. And that's capable. You're capable of doing that if you're a welder. Yeah.
They make very, very, very good money. I mean, and there's like, and everyone, like, here's the thing about that kind of stuff. People think like jobs aren't available. It's like the jobs that aren't available are the ones that are in front of the computer. Right. Okay. Yeah. Because everyone wants it.
But they're not even given the opportunity to understand how satisfying a job is that you can put your hands on and do it and then be done with it and go, look what I did. What did I do for you? Oh, this is great. This is a new grill. Oh, this is fantastic. It goes on your house. They don't even know the satisfaction because they don't sell that shit. They don't sell it like they sell the computer gigs, the CAD gigs, the ones that you're like.
Well, but it's not just selling it that way. Okay. It's totally your parents too, because your parents are wanting the best for you. So go be a doctor, but these health fields and these other fields.
I disagree with both of those things. It's not that your parents are doing this or that. The other thing, because your parents always want you to be better and they're looking at these things.
There's definitely an influence, a push, and like, not having a dirty job.
But they got to know
parents
about
like, I don't want my.
You got it. You got it. But they got to sell the parents. They got to sell everybody.
Exactly. And that's one of the main points that I brought up to a lot of these manufacturing. It's like you're not just selling your next. The whole manufacturing industry needs a push. Yep. Like it needs to be something that is repetitive. Yep. It needs to be something that is branded and something that is like pushed so much larger than it is. Because even the companies and some of the associations that are pushing and really pumping for it, they're not doing enough. It's got to be bigger than that.
They're not narrowing it down enough. Like you see.
Well, it's because it's very broad.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many industries served. You're talking about everything.
Yes. If they talk about, right, exactly. So if they went state by state and just like, this is the thing we do in the state, let's just fucking hammer it down. Like, oh, this is great. We have these.
Yeah, but we do everything in this state. We manufacture everything in this state, dude. Like, whatever.
No, but I'm saying that the companies that like, so the ones that manufacture wind turbines, if they said, so there was a boom to be the person that puts wind turbines together for schools. Like I remember when I was going to Mott, they would just give you money if you just wanted to be the guy that climbed up there and put those things together. Don't just put it in the Mott fucking rec hall where I'm eating my food. Put it out on the channels, put it out on TV, put it out everywhere anybody's listening. Be like, hey, do you like money? Do you like a job that allows you wide open spaces? Do you like heights? Fantastic.
We're looking for you.
We're looking for you. Put it out there. Sell it. Sell it like they sell everything else. Like they sell garbage day after day after day.
Make manufacturing sexy. I mean, everything's hard and wet and it's grinding and it's
sounds hot.
It's melting
I would
together.
Totally go to that place. I'd drink a beer.
Forging. I mean,
check it out.
A lot of banging in there. It's sexy hard work, man.
Right. Do you want your woman to want you when you get home?
It's work. It's physical work, and
do you want to be ripped without working out?
You want to bring home the bacon
and then give it to her,
You want to become a welder?
That's right. That's right.
Oh, hey, let's do this live here. Beers with Bros. Put them on speaker. You are now live on a podcast, Damon.
Beers and Bros.
Oh my goodness! I was gonna say I hope you're on your way.
Yeah, here shortly. I'm way past Bret's bedtime. I got to give him a 6:05 wake up call.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I got to go to bed right now.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you in a minute, okay, bro?
What up, Joe Rogan Podcast? Bye.
Joe Rogan podcast. What a bitch. Not Joe Rogan.
Fuck that.
He's great. He's one of my favorite tools, actually. I just love plugging him in and sitting down and listening to a 3-hour conversation on everything because you find out people are human.
I wish that I could spend 3 hours a day listening to Joe Rogan. But I do appreciate that people are people and they listen to stuff and we have things to talk about.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is, like people are people, but we all need to work on being human a little bit more.
Being human is hard, man.
Humans suck.
Turns out it's a really tough thing to do. Because if you're just going to be a human, you're going to eat everything and shit it all out.
You're going to be the mold on the sandwich.
You're going to be the mold on the sandwich. That's exactly right. We got to worry about being better humans. Being humans that take care of the things that we take advantage of.
The biggest thing that I feel that people neglect to notice when it comes to like when people feel powerless or whatever is how much influence that we have on other people. Like our power of influence is almost insurmountable into what we ourselves can comprehend, because there's moments that happen every day that you can be in a store and you see someone do the right thing and it influences you. You notice it.
Sure.
If you noticed it, that's the thing. It's like, it's not just about being noticed. It's just about doing the right thing. And you do that long enough. Those are the people that you admire. You just see their posture. It's how they stand. It's how they speak. It's them going out of their way or doing the right thing. And when you witness it, and it's like when no one else around you, or even when you think, oh, I could, and then that person's already doing it. And you're like,
Good for him.
good for you.
Two things. Good for him and good
Or
for
her.
us whenever. No, it's him because girls don't do good things.
They're good at breaking hearts.
They are. They're great at that. They're sexy too. But they're just women in the end. So regardless, that woman
That's so-
that does
That
amazing
so
thing.
sexist, right? You're gonna end it on like a sexist note.
No, I'm not. I'm just being an asshole. I'm just bitter, man. And that comes right to the point of resentment.
Bitterness is available.
So let's just end on a negative note. And then when you see somebody that does something great, and if you're, 9 out of 10 people, you're like, that's awesome. And then you're also like, fuck you. I feel bad now because I didn't do that thing that you did. And if you're really lucky, you have the state of mind, the presence of mind, presence of being, and the willingness to do good enough to be like, oh, I should have done that, and I will next time. And the majority of the time, what you get is, fuck you, man. I would have done that, but I didn't. Fuck you.
Right? You hit on a couple things in that sentence, which is like when you notice someone, and you could do it, and it's like and they are like fuck you. Wow. Man.
You just got to keep going. If you're the guy that gets the fuck you, then just keep going. I mean, it's not like, I'm not saying that, I'm totally saying that as a facetious asshole for sure. I was being an asshole. But I do good things all the time, and I think most of us do good things all the time. The key is when
most of us try to do good things.
You
all
got
the
it,
time.
and so if you're trying
or
to do
majority
good
of the
things,
time,
the majority of the time. So
I think it's 80-20 no matter what. Whether you're talking about diet, whether you're talking about lifestyle choices, anything.
If you're hitting 80-20, I think it's good. I think it's 60-40 most of the time. But if you can do 80-20, you're doing all right. That's when you're making gains.
Yeah,
you're making gains in your life.
You have to have, 80-20 is figuring out how to eat the cake and have it too.
Right.
You're trying to preserve it as long as you can, but life is to be lived and not. You're not just supposed to be a witness and bystander. You're supposed to experience it. All right.
And if you're going to experience it in a good way. Experience it the right way.
And influence others.
And I tell you that sometimes it's incidental. Sometimes you're just like, hey, I just got a good vibe about me, and you said hi to me, and I said hi back, and now you feel good about yourself. Fantastic. And other times you're doing it consciously. You're doing it like, I feel like shit. And here you are, you're talking to me.
I feel like shit. That's why.
I see that you are being nice to me. and that's great, and I'm gonna smile at you back.
I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah, sometimes
this was a photo with me and him 2 days ago, and today he's dead. He shot himself. Why did that happen?
That's
Why
terrible.
did
I'm sorry I laughed
because
at that.
like
That was-
it
I didn't
is horrible.
expect to go that
Suicide
far.
is a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Mental health issues are. I
big-
just read
big
this
deal.
post about like, how people want to be advocates of that kind of stuff, and it's like, but they
How do you call that out? It's not even a thing. That's why they happen, because people don't see them coming.
don't see it.
Yeah.
They're wrong. They make the wrong choices
Right.
to the right people, and it's like, or whatever. I mean, life happens.
Or they don't, or they try to do everything in their possible understanding of the way that life works to prevent that from happening, because I think it might, and it still happens. Now, that's not to take away the fact that you should definitely try to prevent those things from happening and be aware of those things. But ultimately, those things happen, and it sucks. But what you do in the meantime, when you're alive and nobody's committing suicide, is you just even when you don't want to.
Yeah, but sometimes you put on that
just put it
smile
out.
hanger.
You just put it out.
Yep.
Yeah,
you
this is my
have
good
to.
vibe.
And you're trying.
Because sometimes what it takes for you to get out of your hole is to know that you made 4 or 5 or 6 or 20 people feel good about themselves. That's it. Oh, you look good today. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, you look
Hey,
fantastic.
did I make anyone smile
Oh, great.
today?
Oh, you made me laugh. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Ah, God, you're smart. Oh, you're funny.
I remember I used to like write that shit down in high school. Like, today I'm gonna try to make like 5 people smile or laugh. Like it was. I'm gonna try to not swear. Like I write down like
You're
these
so
daily
conscious
little goals.
In high school, I was like, I'm gonna try to not feel stuff.
Oh, I definitely didn't try to
I'm
not
hoping
do
that I
that.
look around and I don't get
I
embarrassed.
think it was like the number one thing from every teacher that I ever had is Dan would be a great student if he just apply himself. Isn't that like the epitome of
It's the
every
worst.
artist? I guess
That's the worst, dude.
it's like I had it figured out in high school. I don't want to do this stuff. You're training people to do
Things.
what people do because that's what they think they have to do, and that's not what this is. This is life, and things are changing right now.
That's great insight.
I could drop out right now and go get a GED online and be done with
Be
this.
fine. I'll be fine.
I'm old enough.
I'll be fine.
Brett, it's been a fun night, man.
been fantastic.
Thanks for letting me keep you a little bit longer.
Absolutely.
And,
My
testing out the
pleasure.
new gear.
Bing. Thanks for letting me come out and test out your new mic. I appreciate that. It was unexpected, and unexpected is always fun. around
Impromptu.
here. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the way it's got to roll sometimes.
Boom. All right.
All right.
Good night.
Good
Dan.
night. and anyone who's listening to this thing, good night to you guys, too. Later.
Later.
Don't forget to click that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. You can also follow me on any of these social media outlets at FindingLostWDC or visit FindingLostWDC.com for the latest adventure updates. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time on Finding Lost.